for this job, to open up and for them to have a young coordinator or a young head coach, rather, in P.J. Fleck available to them, I think that's a huge boon to Minnesota. I really do. I think for the Gophers, this is a great hire. Great. Because P.J. Fleck might be a generational head coach. He took over Western Michigan when they were a one-win team. And in 3 years, took them to 13-0 and a New Year's Six bowl game. I mean, that just never happens. Never. He took Western Michigan, which was a total also-ran in the MAC. And took a MAC team to a New Year's Six bowl game. What he did there, he out-recruited everybody in the MAC. He started getting better facilities. He came up with a bunch of different corny phrases. And yeah, they might be corny, but they worked. Row your boat, all that stuff. And he built something. I mean, you don't know anything else unless you're a MAC fan about any program in the MAC. But you know Western Michigan. You know PJ Fleck socks, and you know row the boat. And you know 13-0. He took something out of nothing and made something identifiable with it. Now, some people might not like that he is a little in your face. He's a little splashy. He is an attention-grabbing guy. But you know what? At that level, you have to do stuff like that. I've had him on my show. And speaking of P.J. Fleck, it's impossible not to see why kids gravitate to him and why he succeeds. He is just brimming with charisma. He is brimming with work. See, it's not snake oil either because he's willing to put in the work. He sets lofty goals. He sometimes sounds crazy. He sometimes sounds irrational, but he sets really lofty goals, and he just says, we're going to go get them. And I don't care if you laugh at me. We're going to go do them, and he's going to put in the work. So I've had people within the college ranks tell me, P.J. Fleck might be Urban Meyer way back when at Bowling Green. Now, there's a huge possibility he's not. I mean, the odds are he's not because there are very few Urban Meyers. There's a lot of hot, young, lower-tier group of five schools that coaches that never end up amounting to anything. They are just kind of the hot commodity. But from that standpoint, if Minnesota got Urban Meyer, basically if Minnesota is Urban Meyer at Utah, great. Great. I always say this about my alma mater, Syracuse. Syracuse fans, my SU friends and alumni, the fan base is always paranoid that we're a, quote, stepping stone for better programs. Yeah, that's best case scenario, man. I mean, unless you've got somebody like Jim Boeheim that wants to be a lifer at your school because he grew up in the area as a fan, as an alum, if you are under the Ohio States and the Alabamas and the Michigans and the USCs, if you're under them and the Texases, the best thing you can be is a stepping stone. Because that means at least you keep having success and then coaches get chances to leave. So if Minnesota gets Urban Meyer at Utah, but he's going to end up bolting for Florida, hey, that's a win. It really is. That's why I'm surprised P.J. Fleck took this job. Because I think if he stayed the course next year and had another year like this one at 13-0, you'd have your pick. I mean, I do. Now, maybe you can't go from Western Michigan to USC, but if Texas A&M fired Kevin Sumlin next year, you're telling me that they wouldn't at least ask about P.J. Fleck? If you have jobs at that level open, I think that would be a possibility for him. So that's why I was surprised he took that job, because I think next year he'll have better options. But maybe you strike while the iron's hot, and maybe as an upper Midwest guy, you go, this is not that tough a transition for me. I've already got all of my recruiting bases around the upper Midwest. Maybe it's just an easy plug and play for him. And maybe he even goes, hey, we've got a 9-win team here. I can just keep winning. And that side of the Big Ten doesn't have Ohio State or Michigan in it, or Penn State, so good for me. Maybe that's what he's looking at. But I think that's a huge win for Minnesota. especially considering 3 weeks ago or 2 weeks ago, we were like, boy, that program's on fire right now, and not in a good way, like dumpster fire, like in flames. Now you get a really good, hot commodity young coach to take over after a lot of controversy.